Are you someone that only wants to have one guitar or maybe a few, like 3 to 7? Or are you one of those people where you want to have a whole room filled with them? Like I'm talking, it looks like you open the door and it looks like you walked into a guitar store. The guitars are all along the walls, are on racks, on the floor, things like that. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about the benefits of having multiple guitars, but this is not some video where I'm just giving you a reason to justify getting another guitar, or this isn't something that I want you to share with your significant other to try to convince them on why you should get another guitar. This is just things that I've learned and discovered since having multiple guitars, because I've been the person where I only had one guitar, and then I've also been the person that I only had like a couple, like 2 to 3, and then I currently have 7 electric guitars. And I'm not saying that you have to have X amount of number of guitars in order to be happy, but I do recommend at least having 2, and I'll explain why towards the end of the video. And if you're someone that's new to guitar, or you're like me who spends a ton of time looking at them as opposed to just actually playing the ones that you have, then I do recommend just focusing on playing the instrument and learning more about it, and not so much as getting new guitars. And I do believe that there are actually cons to having multiple guitars as well. It's not like this is just a one-sided video, but I'm not going to go over those in this video. But just in case you're curious, just 2 off the top of my head: one is just higher cost, and then 2 is more maintenance, but I'll talk about that in a separate video. So this one is only going to be about the benefits that I've discovered from having multiple guitars. The first benefit is it saves you time if you're somebody that wants to play in different tunings or explore other tunings. Now, I used to only have one electric guitar, and I played in tunings like standard E, drop D, and then drop C. Now, going from standard E to drop D isn't that big of a deal because that's just one note being changed. But going from drop D to drop C, I noticed that my guitar didn't have a great time staying in tune, and that could have been because I was just constantly shifting back and forth between the two, and I didn't have it set up properly for drop C, or it could have been something else. But the big point is it saves time just having a guitar already set up in the tuning that you want it to, so that way you don't have to constantly just adjust between tunings. The second benefit of having multiple guitars is that if you have a guitar that either has a lot of sentimental value to you, or one that just costs a lot of money, it's a very high-end guitar and you don't want anything happening to it, but you still want to take guitars out and about, whether that's to practice with friends, or you play at church on Sunday, or you're going out to gigs, anything like that, you have that option. It's not like, oh, well, I want to do those things, but I only have the one guitar, and it just means so much to me that I don't want anything to happen to it. So you at least have options, and you can feel more comfortable taking it out and about. The third benefit to having multiple guitars is I feel like different guitars inspire different styles of playing. And I know that may seem a little controversial, and I'm not saying that Strats can only do these styles of genre, like you can't play metal on a Strat or you can't play country on a metal guitar. I'm not saying things like that, but I'm just saying what I've discovered is that I feel inspired to write certain riffs depending on the guitar that I play. So I have a Music Man Cutlass, and I gravitate towards playing more clean stuff or funky stuff on that, whereas I have a Music Man Rabea Artist Series Saber behind me, and that one I see it and I want to play like these huge riffs and things like that. So that's just, I know that's all personal preference, but that's just a benefit for me for having multiple guitars. The fourth benefit of having multiple guitars is that if you're not feeling one for whatever reason, you have other options that you can play. Now, how many of you have you have a guitar where you just absolutely love playing it, but you can play it for like days, weeks, or months on end, but sometimes you just go through these like funks where you're not really feeling that guitar? Well, if you have multiple, then you can just go and play a different one. But I will say that there have been a couple of days where I've gone through all 7 of my guitars and I wasn't feeling any of them for whatever reason. So I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's just not a guitar day. I didn't feel like I needed to go out and get an 8th one, but yeah, I was like, maybe it's just not a guitar day. But that doesn't happen too frequently, so it is nice when I'm not feeling one guitar that I can just go ahead and play another one and still have a good time playing guitar. The fifth benefit to having multiple guitars, and this actually ties in with what I said in the intro about recommending having at least 2 guitars, is in case of emergencies. So let me paint you a picture. You're jamming along playing one of your favorite songs, and then out of nowhere the high E string snaps and it just takes you out of the zone because you're like, oh, now I have to change that string. Or maybe you don't need it for the songs that you're playing, and that's even better. But string changes aren't that hard and they don't take a lot of time, but sometimes it could just take you out of the zone, and that's always a bummer. So if you have another guitar, you can just grab that one. But sometimes it's worse than that. Like sometimes you may accidentally bump your guitar and it falls and it breaks at the headstock. Or I had a guitar where the bridge pickup was falling into the guitar, and this was before I understood and felt comfortable like actually doing work on my guitars. So if something like that happens, you can at least play another guitar while the one that something happened to is getting repaired or having a string replaced or something like that. These were 5 benefits that I've discovered since having multiple guitars. But was there anything that I didn't talk about that you've noticed as a benefit for having multiple guitars? Let me know. And thank you so much for watching this video. And until next time, stay cool like a cloud and have a great day.